Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is a new season of the Apex Online Racing Project Cars 2 Endurance League with the LMP2 and GTE classes here at the Circuit du International Algarve. My name is King-Kodiak and I will be your commentator throughout the 2 hours here at this lovely Portuguese circuit. We are in the qualifying session for the GTE class. Quite a lot of names, as you can see. We did have 30. We have lost someone already. I'm afraid I don't know who that is. But quite a lot of familiar names and some new names mixed in there as well. Glad to see a decent turnout for this round one. Hopefully that level of attendance continues throughout. Welcome to those that are in the chat as well. Good to see you all joining in. So let's have a look at what we have got. Some familiar names, so TX3 Coffee, I believe we've seen before. Apologies if I'm getting these names horribly wrong. Andrex, of course, a stalwart of the endurance scene here. Who's just been knocked off the top spot in his beloved M6 by Heidi. Also the TX3 squad. We've got quite a few TX3 races here, which is quite good to see. Darwood, also in the yellow scented M6. Currently in 4th position, Morvik, leader of the fort at the moment. Currently 1:43.3, and Oblator in the next Ford is the last person to have set a time at the moment. Apologies for the noise you can hear in the background. That's my youngest, not wanting to go to bed. Nosy guy is a little bit close to someone apparently. I'm not entirely sure who, which one of the Fords is directly ahead of him. But he is heading down towards the line, and whoever that is has jumped right out of the way. Didn't need to. He's not closing in on that hard on you. A few more times coming in. Nosy guy clocking in 13th with that 1:49. I think it's fair to say. Oh, so he's overshot turn one. Worn tyre, another familiar name to the AOR scene. It's good to see him. I'm just going to, unfortunately, I need to attend to my youngster. Hopefully I should be able to be back very shortly. Do bear with me. Very sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully he will settle down, I doubt it. But, oh, there he is again. He is 3.5. With a mind of his own, any parents out there will testify to how difficult they can be. So, Heidi still at the top of the board with that 140.8. Look at that, second ahead of Andrex at the moment. So for those unfamiliar with the qualifying format, it's a 20-minute session, 10 minutes for the GTEs, and then 10 minutes for the LMPs. Almost half and half split. It's slightly GTE heavier, but not by a great deal. Andrex in the M6 is actually just... Oops! That's the two yellow Fords getting very, very side by side. Not the best way of setting your qualifying time. Oh, look, one of them ghosted actually. It's been a little while since I commentated here. Last time was for the Season 8 GT3 race. I was here when I had a pretty bad throat. So, yeah, that went quite amusing. Ooh, second spot has gone to MTZ. Now, that's not a name I'm familiar with, but it looks like the Corvettes are leading the way here at Algarve at the moment. Nice one, Smoking Puppy. And Andrex has actually jumped back to the pits. Has he decided to call it a day then? Wow, the M6 is... Oh no, he's having another crack at it. So MTZ in second position, 1:41.4. There's all one good setting a quick time bit is how long you can maintain that pace for. That is always a bit of ghosting Fords going on there. I think I'm going to pronounce that as Calfee. I don't know how else that is actually pronounced. Calfee is actually the ghosted forward out there. That's really bizarre. I haven't actually had that effect before. He's currently sits in 5th position. TX3 Fiedler, that's not a name I'm familiar with. Welcome to you in the lead Ferrari out there in the field. Dawu is in the next M6, just coming out of the pits. Morvik has just jumped up to 2nd then with a 141.4 in the Ford. That's a lot of 4 in there in that sentence. But he is in the pits and looks like his day is done. Dawu continuing on his way now in 7th. White Ghost 2000 in a aptly coloured Ford. So he continues along his merry way. So a new name, welcome to you. Oblator, we've seen before, he's in the black Ford. I know you can see what colour they are. I'm more kind of reaffirming it in my mind. If I say it, it kind of helps me remember. MTZ getting a bit close to someone. And he's actually that Corvette. So I don't know who he was close to. We didn't really see anybody at the bottom of the shot. Now that's his day done. Where is Andrix? He is coming up to... my bearings on the map. I think that's turn 8 he's coming through now. Oh, that's a... yeah, that's him done. You can see he locked up, or he had very smoky tyres for some reason. And he's just come through. I think that's turn 13. Yes, it is. So I originally had that incorrect. He's decided to continue, though. There's going to be a few more seconds before the LMPs have their go. And the GT3s... sorry, GTEs. I will make that mistake more than once. See if Andrex improves on his time. Assumedly not, as we did see that big locker from him, and indeed he does not. So he will be starting 4th in class for the GTEs. Noti Guy. First commentated on him in F1 2016. Here we see him in the Ferrari, currently in 10th position. Rigor in the Ford. A very popular PCARS coordinator. Oh, as he boots a cone out of the way. Let's just watch him come over the line, and he's coming into the pits. Now we should start seeing, if I bring the map up, we should start seeing a lot of movement from the pits as the LMPs now come out to play. Iceberg in the Corvette. Now, is he going to finish his lap? He is allowed to. As you can see, a couple of the other GTEs, there's a Ford and a Ferrari, I believe, at the top of the shot there. Ooh, now that's Villalobos. In that very rearranged Corvette. We saw him have a big lag moment and come out rearranged. But he's jumped up to 2nd position. What a stunning effort from him. And who else have we got? Clank in the Corvette. He is back in the pits. He'll be starting 15th. Warntire, a regular in the GT3 scene in 16th. Tallinn, who I've also seen quite a few times in these endurance events, in the Ferrari in 17th. And that's Slavak. He's got PCA in his name because he's got PCARS at the end of his name. Now, where is Dangerous Ginetta? Where did I spot him? I swear he was in this list a minute ago. And, oh, there he is. I didn't actually spot. He jumped off the list. Oh, he's also rearranged the shape of his Ford. So that is 18... sorry, 7... oh, it is 18 GTEs, I beg your pardon. You know, the tag there does actually say. And then 11 LMP2s. Out they come then. So Tier 3 Storm, welcome to you. It's not a name I'm familiar with. Always glad to see new names get involved. Here's TX3 Cosworth. Again, also not a name I'm familiar with. Welcome to you. Nick Meadow. Name I'm very familiar with. Has Andrex come out of the pits? He's not actually come back in the pits. Interesting to see the M3 still out there. I mean, well, I'm a little surprised to see someone still out there this far into the LMP times, or LMP section of the qualifying. But as long as he doesn't hold anybody up. And where is he on track? He is... oh, he's got no one anywhere near him. He's just come through turn 8, so no one anywhere close. Oh, that's an interesting name. Oh no, hang on, I've missed Popsu. As a contender for the Season 8 Championship of the GT3 League. Oh, listen to the noise of that LMP2. Towner, I'm assuming that's how that's pronounced. Again, another name I'm familiar with. Welcome to you. TX3 Endless, I have seen you before. Now, I'm not particularly good at identifying which engine is in these LMP2s. Murphy, in the black Ligier. I would imagine all of the LMP2s are going to be running the Ligiers. It says JSP2, but it doesn't tell me which engine that is. James also had the opportunity to commentate on him in the GT3 Elite League. Cornwald, we've seen in these endurance events before. Doc, the only one to run with pink livery, or the pink flash on his car. He's just coming around turn 13. He'll be starting his time lap, and Domino. Both of those guys are teammates. Look how busy the track is. This is going to be a very, very busy, very busy race. As the second isn't particular, but it's a decent length for as far as a GT3 race is concerned. As far as an endurance race is concerned, with 29 cars on track, it's going to be pretty busy. As we now start seeing the LMP2 times coming in. Popsu currently at the top of the lot with that 132.7. You can see the pace difference between the LMPs and the GTEs. Towner. I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm saying that completely wrong. Currently in second, Murphy. Very tightly packed as well. Oh. Cosworth jumps into fourth. James currently in fifth. 133.318 as Murphy has jumped back to the pits. Already James is on a faster lap, as you can see. Now all the LMP2s now have set a time. Ooh, Storm has jumped to the top of the pile with 31.3. My goodness me, I was commentating. Well, yes, that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of hours. As he jumps back to the pits, he's got plenty of time to come out and have another run. So just commenting on how close the field is to the top, and bang, he goes and sticks in a time 1.3 quicker than everybody else. But Popsy now is just coming along, improves, but still remains in second position. Doc currently sitting in 8th place. Oops, oh, Nick just jumped up to 6th position there. Nick Meadow. They're 133.2. Oh, James has just stuck a time in there. 132.5, just slots him into 3rd place. Very nicely done. 5 minutes remain for the LMP2s to improve on their time. Storm, I'm going to keep saying Stowe probably. Storm is confident in his time at the moment. Still got 6/10 in hand over Popsu. Oh, that's very deep at turn 3. It's so easy to do. Turns 1 and 2 can be very tricky. Oh, Doc's getting close to someone. He's just crossed the line. Unfortunately, whoever it was has probably jumped back to the pits. It may well have been Nick Meadow. Those are the only two. Nick's coming straight back out, so interesting. Storm. He's confident of his pole time. He is definitely confident of his pole time at the moment, as he's the only one of the LMP2s not to be on track. Popsy then, he's just coming through turn. Oh, he's come through turn 10, Portimao. Then 11, heavy on the brakes for 12. Now round 13. That car wander wide. And you've got to pick your line right for that 14 as you come over the crest and still turning. It's less an issue in the LMPs because they've got more downforce. But the GTEs have got to be very careful with it. And does Popsu improve? Right, he's just starting his. He's starting his lap. So let's follow the lap through then with Popsu. Turn 1. Flat through 2. Heavy on the brakes, very easy to lock up into 3. We'll see a few people run wide there, I imagine. Now uphill, off camber for 4. Very easy to run wide, and Popsy very nearly has. You can get a little bit beached almost on that rumble strip on the outside. Now heavy braking zone, downhill as well for 5. Very easy to get wrong if you stamp on the gas too early, which Popsy did a little bit. The back end just gets very unsettled. Flat through the near non-existent 6. Down a gear for 7. Oh, and he hit the apex too hard, and that really unsettled him. Just about got it slowed down in time for 8. over the crest, get over the right hand side now, throw it into the left for 9, back uphill again for 10, and really blind apex for the first part of 10, which is essentially a double apex corner. Oh, and again the car did not want to stick as it came back down the hill. Now 12. And then the right hander for the 13. Actually just lost someone from the server list. Don't know who that was, I'm afraid. And there, again, turn the apex for 14 is very, very blind. So you've got to be very confident your car's going to stick. And where does that put Popsy? Does he improve? He improved in time, but not in position. Still just shy of 4/10 off the top spot. Let's see if Popsy can find the next. You saw actually quite a few times where his car got very, very squirrely. Actually, Storm has come back out on track. He's coming through turn 13 himself. So he may well be looking to try and improve on his already very impressive time. Cosworth is in the pits. His day is done. He won't have time to come out and start another lap. So Storm is coming over the line. Does he improve? I assume he's on an out lap. He is indeed. We didn't see any Delta come up that time. Now either Slavic in the GTEs didn't set the time, or he's caught in the dreaded timing bug. If he's caught in the timing bug, it's really, really awkward for an endurance race. It's hard enough for the standard GT3 races. Popsy, we know. Popsy, we've been watching for a while. There's James, the pure black LMP. And he's decided to call it a day then. Murphy, he was 2/10 down on that last lap, as you just saw. Oh, the tail looked like he got very out of kilter then, just as he was coming into turn 1, which again, very easy to do. You're trying to brake, go downhill and turn, all in the same braking zone, especially as the braking zone is right past a crest as well. Down towards turn 5. As Town and James have returned to the pits as well. Who's that just coming over the line? Let's see if we can find him. Nick Medio's day's done. Couldn't catch who that was that just came over the line, unfortunately. Endless? Nope. No, I don't know who that was that just came over the line. But Storm, our pole man, is about to. Let's see if he's improved on his time. Camera getting a little bit lost. And ooh, now something very strange has just happened, because I've got lots of entrants of the same name. What's happened there? Slightly confused on what's happening there, because mysteriously I can't scroll up to the pole spot. So, oh, Murphy is he locking up just before coming into the pits. Someone's on track, but I don't know who. As my interface seems to have gone a little bit gaga. It's given me half a dozen entries of the same car, but I can't click on any of them. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like my game is having a bit of a moment. So qualifying is now done. So just waiting for the timer to count down. And there is your official qualifying positions then. Storm taking the top of the LMP field by half a second over Popsy. James 3, Murphy 4, Towner 5. And the GTEs, Deheidi taking the top spot with Villa Lobos 2, Morvik 3, Don MTZ 4th, and Andrex in the 5th position. Right. So just waiting then for the session to roll on. Not a lot I can do at this point. Should be interesting race though. Just scroll through the lists. It is 28 drivers, so Slavic is appearing there with no time, so either he's in the timing bug or he was not able to set a time. not seemingly going anywhere. Do bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. We will see if there is a problem. And just see if I can find out what's going on here, find out why we're not proceeding to the next session. Ah, it's a quick driver briefing that's going on, that's why. So the session has intentionally not been moved on just yet. Gives me a chance to catch up with what's being said in chat. So welcome to those that are in the chat room. It's glad to have your company. When are the podcasts coming back? It's not really likely we're going to see the podcast coming back, unfortunately, as time constraints more than anything else. There was a bit of a confusion over what's happened with the server allocation, so apologies for those that seem to have missed out on this particular race. Not really much I can say about it as the commentator. I can't explain what's happened there. 10 out of 28 drivers are TX3. Yeah, there are quite a few TX3 drivers in this. It's good to see that we do get a wide variety of drivers, and there we go. So now we've moved on to the next session. We have actually lost a couple since the server started, sadly. Clear that race feed box as it doesn't tend to work. Tells me what happened in qualifying, which does not make use for the race, unfortunately. So now we're just waiting for people to select their setups or make any last minute adjustments that they feel is necessary. And when everybody is readied up, when all 28 drivers have hit that ready button, we will then get this underway. And that confirms to me that with Slavek then registering actually in 13th in class, 23rd overall, that he is actually stuck in the timing bug. So what's going to happen there is his time on my on my screen, he would basically always appear as last. So sadly, not a lot I can do about that. He will be racing in obviously a bona fide position. The drivers will know where he is. I sadly will not. But what's going to happen at this point is, of course, when everybody has readied up, we will then get the session going. It's a rolling start. So when the lights go out, everyone will sit still for 5 seconds, and then a manual rolling start will proceed. So the LMPs will lead the field, of course, for a formation lap, warm-up lap, call it as you will, until they get to pretty much the beginning of Sector 3, where they will then form the 2x2 line until they get to the acceleration zone, which is essentially where the crest is on the start-finish straight, I think just before it. And then the race leader, there we go, which is of course TX3 Storm, will then floor it to signify the beginning of the race. And there's the lights that we are of course ignoring. They're really loud compared to everything else. So there goes the TX3 Storm to lead the field away on the formation lap. Now the GTEs will do the same thing, but they will do so with a about 20 seconds-ish gap between themselves and the LMP2 field. It just gives me a chance to cover both starts, essentially. So round they come. And there is Slavek then, of course, fallen to the bottom of the field because the game doesn't realise where he actually is. 10 LMPs, 18 GTEs for this 2-hour endurance event here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. Storm, bring the map up. You'll see now there's the gap in between the two categories. as previously mentioned. So that's Storm leading them through turn 8. Now 9. And back downhill then. Storm getting a little bit eager to get going. It's very easy to do. Very easy to kind of leave the field behind. Now it is going to be around here somewhere. And there you can see Storm's actually slowed down. Generally the odd numbers will be on the, whichever is going to be the inside for turn 1, which turn 1 being a right-hander. We will then expect the odd numbers to be on the right, which is exactly how they formed. So at any point, pretty much from where you see the pit entry line, any point from there, Storm can floor it to signify the beginning of the race. And he is away. That camera's quite long. We are racing then here at the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve. That is James having a look on the inside of Popsu for that second position. Oh my goodness me, that's Popsu having to take a bit of avoiding action, but James is in trouble. Oh, it's Murphy. I beg your pardon, I had the wrong LMP2 there. He's got it all crossed up at turn 1. And he is formed to the back of the field now. Let's have a look at the GTEs if the camera would actually keep up with me. Now De Heidi has got the hammer down to signify the beginning of the race for the GTEs. Look at that, they're already going 3 wide. Heading down to turn 1. So De Heidi and Villalobos. Oh my goodness me, that was Morvik right in the middle of a 3 wide. Very big sandwich there. That could have got very nasty. Looks like the GTEs have got through the field okay. Have got through the turn 1 alright, I should say. Goodness me, look at you can see on the map, the white dot that's trailing the back of the LMPs is Murphy. That's how much time he's lost. The GTEs look like they've got away okay. Morvik already having a look on the inside of Villalobos at turn 5. He's keeping all that pressure on, but pushing this hard this early may not necessarily do them a lot of favours, as of course they've still got another 1 hour 56 to do, so they don't want to risk any damage at this stage. But you know, when the red mist goes, when the lights go out, it's very easy just to push that a little bit too hard. Andrex has had a pretty bad start. He started 5th in class. He's already lost 3 positions. So not a good start for the M6 driver. Ooh, that's his teammate. He's storming up behind. Don't want to be taking your teammate out, certainly not at this stage. They're on the way. Let's jump back up to the head of the LMPs then, as Storm is already making forming a decent lead for himself there. It's already 2 seconds ahead of James then, who sports the black liveried Ligier. Popsy 3. Town of 4. Doc's had a pretty good start. He's up to 6th. He's got Cosworth right ahead of him. Nick Meter behind. There's Domino, Doc's teammate. With Endless right behind. Murphy is catching the back of the LMPs. Wrong one. You can see then that he's got his eyes on the prize. He is catching the back of the LMP field, but of course he's lost a considerable amount of time. And looking at Storm's pace, that could be very costly in the long run. Let's head back to our GTEs. De Heidi has got himself it's not much of a lead, but it's a break nonetheless. He's got for himself over Morvik in the Ford. There's Villalobos in the Corvette. So those two have swapped positions without me noticing it. There's MTZ in the silver Corvette. Cosworth with Vidla in the lead Ferrari. Not very many Ferraris, interestingly. There's the 2 M6s, Darbu and Andrex behind. It's difficult to know where to look, because of course the GTE fields are still very, very compact. Although we do seem to have a bit of a gap at the back of the GTEs. Who is back there? It's Nosy Guy and Tarlin. So they may well have had a bit of a tangle, so they've got a bit of a gap, 2.5 seconds give or take. between them and Clank, who is next car. And oh my goodness me, who was that was wandering wide? It was Oblator in the black Ford that's completely overshot it at turn 12. Which again, very easy to do. Come downhill through 10 and 11 and misjudge the braking point at 12. Oops, that was someone getting their line wrong. Might have been worn tyre. Oh no, it would have been Rigor actually. It was the red and white Ford. Whoops, camera getting a bit lost there. Yeah, you can see actually how much pace he's lost. It was Rigor that got the run down through turn 14 wrong. Exactly as I said, you've got to keep your line right. Oh, that's a little bit close between himself and Clank. That's run Rigor a little bit wide. Oh dear, it looks like Clank ran wide as well. So it is all going off in the GTE field as well. Nick Media and Doc still very, very close in the LMP field. Dominic's not too far behind this. Oh! Commentator's curse on Nick. He's floored it too hard. Coming through turn 13. That's dropped him right to the back of the LMPs. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Concentrating a little bit too much on trying to keep Doc behind him, I think. Sorry, to try and attack Doc ahead of him and keep Domino behind him, beg your pardon. And that has dropped Nick Media down a long way. Murphy is closing in on Endless, I believe, in the... So Murphy in the black Ligier. You can see... Oh! That's Endless and Domino very, very close together. Oh, that's close. Nice and clean though, no particular impact. If we jump on board with Murphy, he's going to have the run on the pink flashed Ligier. He overshot that. That's very close. Oh, that put Endless off his stride though, and that could be a lovely drive for Murphy. Then he's just picked up 2 positions in 2 corners, and he did indeed get it done. Endless actually quite wisely backing out of that a little bit to avoid contact. These 3 really locked in battle. That's Domino trying to regain some position there. All about patience though. The more you battle now, you can see the gap between Murphy and Doc. That's now over 4 seconds, and this battling is not going to help them. So they may decide to just kind of either ignore one another, or for someone to just let somebody through. So Murphy could let Murphy could let Endless through and just simply not choose to chase him. But racing drivers are racing drivers. Let's face facts here. If you've got an opportunity for an overtake, most people will take it. But it could well cost them at this stage to be fighting this hard. Goodness me, that is someone a very long way back. That's how much time Nick Media lost. He's 10 seconds down on Domino's at the back of the 3-car train we've just been looking at. All down to that spin that he had. Let's have a look at our GTEs then. Still a lot of fighting going on, as you can see on the left hand side. The exclamation marks indicate when a car is within, it's usually around a second or a second and a half to the car in front, and it's that is Villalobos in the yellow Corvette that MTZ is trying to chase. We've just seen Morvik in the red and white Ford disappear at the top of the shot. De Heidi's not too far ahead of Morvik actually at this point. So unlike Storm at the front, it's got about 4.5 seconds to himself. De Heidi doesn't have that. Oh, we've lost somebody actually from the session. You may have spotted that the position numbers flashed red. It's one of the GTEs we've lost. As the count is now down to 70. Unfortunately, I can't identify who it is visually. And as you can see, the game gives me no indication as to who it is that it's gone. Can't spot any obvious names, but I have a pretty bad memory as it is. GT still. Now the back of the GT fit. Now someone spun. I thought I saw someone having a bit of a journey infield. It was Clank in the yellow, or one of the yellow Corvettes. So now as the lead LMPs are now coming through. We jump up to Storm. You can see now he's coming past one of the Ferraris. Oh, but that's. Now this is what I thought was going to happen. I thought it might happen a little bit later than this, but because the GTEs are not spaced out to a great degree, the LMPs are just going to be completely snarled up in... Oh no! Oh, big problem there. One of them's, I think... No, that was the Ferrari that was coming through. Oh, one tyre. It was one tyre that has had a massive moment. in the Ford, and that is huge damage to his car. He is pulling. I wonder if that's going to be the end of his race. He's pulling to the side. I think that is the end of his day. We didn't see who it was a worn tyre tangled with, and yep, that is indeed worn tyre gone. What a shame. Just over 10 minutes gone, and that is worn tyre out. Oh, what a shame. Now, Clark actually pulled over there. He's not obliged to do so. It is not his own class that are coming to put a lap on him. Again, for those unfamiliar with that particular rule, we jump up to MTZ that is keeping. He's actually got Wiedler right with him. And he's got Villalobos not too far ahead. Now, for those unfamiliar with that particular ruling, the GTEs do not have to jump out of the way of the LMPs. The LMPs have got the traction and the speed generally to be able to come past the GTEs fairly safely. They do have to watch how they do it. They can't just blast the GTEs out of the way. But the GTEs do not have to concede position. Well, it's not a position, of course. They don't have to concede to the LMPs. Look at that. That's Andrex almost pushing. Again, every time I'm going to see Calfee's name, I'm going to pronounce it slightly differently. So Andrex is really pressuring that Ford for that 6th in class. We're coming back up to Vila. If we jump on board with him, you can see actually the pair of Corvettes. You can barely hear the Ferrari's engine over the roaring Corvettes. Not that that's anything to complain about. I love the sound of those Corvettes. Like I was mentioning, the LMPs have to work their way past the GTEs. They don't have to jump out of the way. Equally, if the GTEs was actually lapping an LMP, for when LMP was having a really bad day, then the same would apply. If an LMP is lapping an LMP, or a GTE is lapping a GTE, then the blue flag rules do apply. They do have to concede. You can't just block for the sake of it. Oh, goodness me. Now, that's what happens if you get that line wrong through 14. It throws you very wide, and you risk wandering off into that endless runoff area there. And MTZ would have lost quite a bit of momentum then on the Corvette ahead of him with Villalobos. And that should be Storm coming behind him. It is in the green and black LMP. That was interesting. Vila took a much tighter line through 3 to try and get a better exit for 4, but so he had a bit of a big twitch moment there coming through turn 4, which again is very easy to do. It's off camber and over a crest. Oh, Storm's diving on the inside, and Vila has actually seen the dive and decided to concede, which in a situation like that may well be wise. Again, we're only 15 minutes into a 2-hour race, but he would have been within his right to take the racing line, and Storm could well have been in trouble if he had actually caused an incident there, but they continue nonetheless. Oh, again, you just slightly different lines going on. I'm not sure it's actually benefiting MTZ at the moment. The different line he's trying, whether he's feeling the need to defend from Wiedler is a little bit uncertain, as Wiedler has a look on the inside of 12, but that is covered off then by MTZ. Firm but fair defending from the silver Corvette. And this is rather what I thought would happen. The Algarve is not, because Algarve is not, it's not your Le Mans, it's not 8 miles long. I did think we would have quite a lot of battling going on, but that is going to chew your tyres and invariably slow you down to the overall pace you could do. As that, I believe, is James that's coming through. It is indeed. Oh, and that's Andrex that's jumped out trying to get a move on TX3 Calfee, which he has done. But can he get it? Can he get it turned into turn 1 and keep the position? Answer is yes, he does. And Andrex moves up in that M6 to 6th position. But can he keep that Ford? Whoops, who runs slightly wide on the exit of turn 2. Thank you, Smoking Puppy. It was Tarlin that we lost earlier on in the GTE field. As we saw Worn Tyre have that accident, he is retired from the race. Oh, goodness me, I think that's Popsy that's having a jump on the inside of 5. And Calfee again conceding the spot. Whoa, that would be very dangerous. That was a very silly, very silly moment there by Popsu. I think it's Popsu. It is indeed. What on earth was he trying to do? Trying to do an outside maneuver heading into 7. Andrex will not be best pleased. And look at that, he only just managed to squeeze in between. Oh, and that nearly caused another incident between Andrex and Calfee. That's Dangerous Janetta now that's catching up with him. He's in the black 4 behind. So again, the yellow Ford and yellow M6 side by side, now coming up to turn 12. And Calfee just manages to get ahead. Oh, but he's floored it too early. And that is Cosworth has just come through. That's Doc in the oh, you saw that is Towner in the green and black Ligier that nearly actually smashed against the side of Dangerous Janetta's Ford. Looks like Andrex shaping up another move on the Ford. So many engine noises going on at this point. Again, Andrex having to make that move. Oh, that's again. That is not what I expected to see, and that's put Andrex completely off his stride. That was Cosworth. Oh no, it wasn't Cosworth. I beg your pardon. It was Murphy in the black Ligier. Dived on the inside of 1 and put Andrex completely out of position. He's now. Oh no! That's Andrex and Dawu. Andrex and Dawu have come to grief. Both of the yellow M6s off the circuit at turn 3. Oh my goodness me. So I would think as Andrex is trying to recover, he's been collected by his teammate. They're now back going again, but way down the order. I would expect to see a pit stop pretty soon. That is Rigor in the Ford. Trying to capitalise on that again. Another couple of businesses. Goodness me, it is going off here, there and everywhere at the moment. Oops, and it looked like Dawu and Rigor almost had a tap then on the inside of turn 5. And there you see that was Nozigar and Oblator in the background, the Ferrari and I think the black Ford. So quite a bit going on there. That's how it jump up to Doc. He has got one of the Corvettes right in his nose. So you can see Doc actually stays very tight to the inside of 13. It does compromise potentially his line through 14, but what he's trying to do is get off the racing line so that he doesn't end up following or compromising the car he's trying to put a lap on. So a very safe and respectful way of doing it. But of course does slow him down a little bit, which is inevitable for the... Oh my goodness me! Who was that that's had a spin zone? No, it was not MTZ. Morvik? It was Morvik! Oh goodness me, he was second in class before that moment, and that's MTZ in the silver Corvette that's just gone past. Oh goodness me. It's all happening at the moment. We've still got another hour and 40 minutes. My throat is going to be destroyed by the end of this. Morvik going again. Towner is close to someone. Who is he close to? I think it's Doc. It is indeed in the pink and black Ligier. So those two have been pretty close together for quite a few laps now. Towner keeping the pressure on Doc for that 5th position. And there you see Cosworth in the orange coloured Ligier just going down the hill. Very, very close. Ooh, again, it's so easy just to overshoot the braking point, especially when you're in the slipstream. You may not necessarily anticipate the extra braking zone you may need because of the extra speed you've just picked up. The view from Towner then. Near identical line through the final turn, turn 14. Did look like Doc got slightly sideways. Coming through that turn, Doc feeling the need to go for that defensive line, heading down towards turn 1. He's gone back to the racing line. Oh, Towner's overshot turn 1 slightly. Again, I thought, again, because he was coming down the hill quite a rate of knots, he may have over-anticipated, or under-anticipated rather, how much slowing down force you need. Another one of the Corvettes getting in the way, and we have got a pitter in the form of Endless. I doubt this was planned. You can see there's damage on the front right side of the car, so he's going to be there a while. Nick Meadow is pretty close to Domino by the look of the timings. There is Domino in the pink and black Ligier. Is that Morvik the Ford? It is indeed. who's still not too far away from MTZ. Just seen. Where are we? So Domino hasn't been able to shake. Anyone that's got someone in close proximity would hope to kind of get rid of them in the pack markets, which sadly hasn't happened for Domino. Is that Vila? It is indeed. Vila having a look on the inside of turn 12. That is Villa Lobos in the one of the several yellow Corvettes we've got. Hope for a decent line then through 14. Oh, that's why Vidla went wide. That was Domino coming through. I did think he was taking a slightly wide line, but he would have realised that the LMP was there. Could have been announced on Discord as well. Enders is still in the pits. No, he's now coming. Yes, he was in there an exceedingly long time. You can actually see some of the GTEs have actually put him down a couple of positions, so he's lost a considerable amount of time. 3.5 minutes behind lead, apparently. As I say, that'll sort itself out in a minute. There we go, 2 minutes. Oh no! That's Villa Lobos. Villa Lobos has lost it on the way down to turn 3 and avoided collecting TX3 Calfee in the yellow Ford. So he's now back underway. Who else should we look at? Endless then. This is of course for position, but it shouldn't be too hard for Endless to work his way past. This is Morvik and MTZ. They are battling for third in class. And is of course now last man on the field of the LMPs. One that we haven't looked at, I'm not entirely sure which position he's in. One of the yellow forts, that is Slavek. Of course, because of the timing bug, I have absolutely no idea what position he is in. Is that Popsy that's come past him? No, wrong one. It was Storm, our race leader, who has a 7.5 second lead at the front of the field. Can just run his own race and continue to hit his marks as and when he needs. Towner still very, very close to Doc, as we are fast approaching the quarter point of this race. Oops, very easy to run too wide there through 4. Got to be careful doing that, you will incur a penalty. Nick Meadow is pretty close to Domino, so both of the pink and black Ligiers are under pressure. And they are coming through that turn 4 as well. Oops, Nick Meadow. Oh dear, looked like Domino had a terrible run through that turn 4. That's given Nick Meadow the legs he needs. And he gets it turned in nicely for 5 and gains 8th position. He's got 16 seconds to gain to Murphy. And he's also got a GTE ahead. I think it was one of the Corvettes that just disappeared out of the top of the shot. Is it Heidi? It is indeed. So that's actually GTE leader TX3 to Heidi leads the class by 12 seconds. So now that he's gotten free of his class, he has been able to build a pretty substantial lead. Interestingly, Storm's actually lost some of his leads, probably in the midst of traffic. Yeah, he's just come past a queue of 3 cars there. So that'll be why he's just lost a bit of his lead, but he's got plenty there to play with. Let's have a look further down the field. It's Morvik, and that's... Oh, what? I think Morvik was trying to size up an outside move on 11. If he can hang on to that through 12, he's going to have the inside then for 13. He's going to have a crack at it. And then he'll want to have the inside for 14. MTZ trying to get the power down. It looks like the Ford's got the advantage now. And that is indeed Morvik. He's gained that third in class. But you can imagine MTZ is not going to let that go. He's now going to get in the slipstream of the Ford. He's going to gain a fair few miles an hour as a result. But can he use it though? He's staying on the inside for turn 1. And he decided not to throw it on the inside for a dive bomb. Slightly too wide, I think. Or it looked like it from that particular camera angle. Needs to be careful doing that. There you've got TX3 Calfee closing in on them, and he brings Villalobos with him as well, so that could close up to a 4-car battle as well. And he's actually lost a bit of momentum on Morvik, so that's 7/10 Morvik has to himself ahead of the silver Corvette, and Morvik's got 4.5 seconds to catch to TX3 Vidler. So you can actually see on the map Vidler coming into turn 8 just as Morvik comes through 7. So it's not a huge gap, certainly not insurmountable. MTZ now a second behind, so Morvik can concentrate more on offense than defense. Andrex has got company down there in 9th position in class after early troubles. That is White Ghost in the White Ford. They're having lots of exhaust spitting going on. Now, Andrex would no doubt have gained a bit of damage from the scuffles he had early on, unless he just got away with only spins. Oh, goodness me! He's man on the mission, then flies through on the outside of outside exit of 10, and then gets the inside of 11. Absolutely leaves the White Ford for dead, and is now got a big gap to gain to Dangerous Jeanette at 12.5 seconds. But he seems very determined to do that. But just behind, Nosy Guy has got Darwood for company. So there's the Ferrari BMW combination there. Can Nosy Guy keep that charging Darwood at bay? He lost actually 2 seconds on Darwood last time around. There's a Ligier also in the, you can just see. Is that James? It is indeed. So that's second place James, just jumping past Andrex. Back to Darwood. So he's got half a second between himself and the Ferrari. And those ago, we were well aware that that bright yellow BMW is there. Now again, you saw a slightly different line being used by both cars. Whoops! Darwood overcooks it on the exit of 4. You saw Nosy Guy and the Ferrari take a wider exit from 3, which is a little bit quicker to do at that point, but it does compromise your entrance into 4. Darwood took the tighter line through 3, which gave him a faster run through 4, but sadly just pushed it a little bit too hard, so may not have been able to use the extra rate of knots. Clank is also pretty close to someone. Oh, cracky, I say. Clank is respectfully allowing what I believe is that James coming through? Nope. Trying to think who's in the next black. Oh, it's Murphy that's in the next black Ligier. But Clank is still. Apologies for the lots of jumping around. There's no easy way of me trying to identify who's who. But that is Iceberg directly ahead of him. A lovely symphony of Corvette engines going off there. Who is that behind them? It's actually Slavak, so assuming that's in position, Slavak is actually at the back of the GTE field. I mean, that helps me identify where he is position-wise, until he overtakes someone, of course. Clank does look like he's able to maintain the pressure on that orange and black Corvette. Near identical lines, they come through that turn 14. Oh, Clank's had a decent run. Getting the slipstream. Iceberg's not going for that defensive inside line. But that's going to be a pretty risky move from Clank if he decides to go for it, which he does. And that did not pay off. Iceberg did give racing room and maintain the momentum he needs, but now Clank having a look at the inside of 3. Again, well played by both of them. That's going to compromise Iceberg through 4. Is Clank now going to have the momentum he needs? And he doesn't. So Clank didn't. Who's going to have a look on the inside of 5? Not close enough for that. Iceberg again needs enough room for them to do that particular move. But Iceberg would not want this kind of pressure. We've just gone over the quarter point of this race, so 30 minutes gone. And this is not what you want. You want to be able to in an endurance race, you want to be able to just kind of run your race. But In a circuit like this, with this many cars, it was inevitable that we were going to have a lot of battling. Whoops, there's Nosy Guy. See what Nosy Guy was trying to do is trying to allow the LMPs through. Is that Doc and Cosworth? It is. So Doc, having broken free of Tautauner, we haven't looked at Doc for a while. He's actually closed in on Cosworth. He's now looking to get that 4th position. As that is Andrex and White Ghost, I believe. Oh no, it'd be Darwell, I beg your pardon, White Ghost. We saw, of course, we saw Andrex make that very impressive move through 10 and 11, a couple of laps back. So that is Doc then with that white Ford. That's going to really hold him up through 4. Ooh, Darwell got very out of kilter there. But that's then going to give him the momentum. Have a dive on the inside of 5. That is 9th position for the yellow BMW. Ooh, that's a lot of... That's Tautauner and Murphy then very close together. So there's a 3-way LMP2 battle going on here, with a smattering of GTE mixed in for good measure. Tautauner diving on the inside of Darby. But that hasn't put Murphy off his case, though. On board with the Black Ligier. He's going to have a look on the inside of 10. It's very, very risky, because you come over the crest, you lose all the downforce, and it becomes very difficult to slow the car down. We managed to do it. There's Doc, just caught the back of... That must be Andrex he's caught the back of already. It is indeed. Murphy is determined to do something with Tautauner. Oh, goodness me. Tautauner was very, very slow through 13, but Murphy couldn't use the momentum, and that puts him slightly off his stride. Now through 14, this will be where Murphy wants to get the extra momentum. Andrex need do absolutely nothing there. The LMPs can figure themselves out from that point. Andrex minding his own business. The LMPs gaining a bit of slipstream. Oh, and Murphy ran too wide. Now you can actually see Andrex gaining a little bit on Murphy, because Murphy had to back out of that a little bit too much. Now, Andrex would actually, the GTEs, if they have the opportunity to overtake an LMP, they are perfectly entitled to. It doesn't really gain them anything as far as track position is concerned, because generally they're not on the same lap, but they don't have to sit behind the LMPs. Similarly, you know, the LMPs, if they felt the need to sit behind GTEs, then they could do. Just because of a different class doesn't mean they have to sit behind them. Who shall we have a look at? Murphy is still trying to keep up with Tautauner, but it looks like Tautauner is doing a pretty decent job of starting to break away from the Black Ligier. Let's have a look at Doc. He was closing in on Cosworth. He's lost 1.5 seconds on him as a result, but that will be down to the traffic that he's encountered. But as you can see just ahead, Cosworth in that orange LMP has been caught out slightly by one of the black Fords. That must be, just looking at the list, is that Dangerous Ginetta? It is indeed. So again, DD minding his own business as he's entitled to do. Doc having to take that very tight line through 14. Not the quickest way of doing it, but it is by far the safest way of doing it. And on they continue then. Let's come back up to Doc now, because he has gained. Look at that. Oh, goodness me, Cosworth. He's overcooked it at turn 1. And has ended up facing the wrong way. Another casualty of turn 1. Oh, that's... Oh, yes, that was a red Ford we just saw. Wiedler, I think. Was that red Ford, red Ferrari, beg your pardon. Yeah, that was Wiedler. I believe he was the only one running the red Ferrari, and he is out. We lost 2 at that moment, so there was obviously a big crash there. I didn't really see. We saw the Ferrari stopped. And really, shouldn't really stop on track, even if you are trying to retire. So we are now down to 14 GTEs. Still with 10 LMPs. We haven't lost another one of those for a while. So that's actually put Doc right up there into 4th position now. Started 8th in class. So he's having a pretty decent run. And he is 6.5 seconds or so down from Popsu. We can't quite see him in that shot. There is Popsu. He's catching to the back of, I believe that's Morvik in the red and white Ford. Yes, it is. It's usually by about now I've gotten used to who is in what car. And that's actually with that problem that Cosworth had. He's now going to be in battle with Tautauner. That yellow Corvette is Villalobos? Yes, it is. So again, he doesn't have to do anything, just minds his own business and lets the LMPs figure themselves out. But look at that. That is Tautana and Murphy that's very, very close together. This is for 5th in class, with Cosworth not too far behind. They're only a couple of seconds back. That is... that will be Calfee in the yellow Ford. Oh, now Calfee choosing to take the very wide line. Respectful of the LMPs coming through. Andrex has had a problem again. He's now down to 8th in class with Daru ahead of him. So either Daru's had a major charge or Andrex has had a problem somewhere. It wasn't on the last lap, unfortunately. There's so much going on all through the field. Although now they seem to be spreading out. It's only taken, 40 minutes of racing for them to get to a point where they are actually fairly spread out. The two M6s pretty close together. I think Andrews has only lost a position to his teammate, but he will have lost a fair amount of time. He was closing in on Dangerous Ginetta in his Ford, but Dangerous Ginetta is 12 seconds ahead of this pair. So 12.5 seconds indeed. So Andrews has had a spin somewhere, and this circuit is catching the best of them out, it seems. But Daru still seems to be... If you look at the difference between the two BMWs, I reckon Andrex has hit something along the way somewhere. We saw him very early on having a little bit of argy-bargy with some of the leading LMPs. I'm pretty certain that has caused damage on his BMW. He hasn't pitted as a result. He has chosen to continue. So now that the positioning has pretty much sorted itself out, at least for the time being, let's have a rundown of who is where. TX3 Storm, our pole man. You see the... is that Villalobos behind? Nope, it wasn't Villalobos. Wasn't sure which pair of cars the Storm has just come through. He is leading the way. His lead has been slightly reduced over the last few laps. It's now down to 4 seconds, or just over. But it's never been particularly huge. But Storm started well, built a lead, and has just run his own race. As tried to stay clear of trouble. So he leads them by 5 seconds, give or take, from... You've just seen him. There he is, James, in the black Ligier. He's gone past that yellow Ford, yellow Corvette combination. Ah, that's moving into hiding. Nope. No, it isn't. No, I have no idea who that is. I will get to them eventually. Oops. Storm running a little bit wide on the exit of 4. In second is James in the black Ligier. 5 seconds, give or take, down from Storm, but has got a pretty comfortable lead between himself and Popsu in third position. 18 seconds at that point. That is one of the Corvettes that is getting out of Popsu's way. Popsu in third leads Doc in fourth position, who has been having a pretty decent race. And it must be said, he's been very, very respectful of those he's been putting a lap on, which has cost him time, but it has meant that he has stayed out of trouble, probably has got a damage-free car. His lap times are very consistent with those in front of him, so whilst he is 30 seconds down from leader, he is 6.5 seconds down from Popsy, and we will see if he's able to close that down. Was a couple of tenths slower than Popsy last time around, but it's all about consistency here in endurance racing. Murphy in the next LMP's got 4.5 seconds between himself and Doc, and only 3 back to this man Tautana, who in himself only has 1.5 between himself and this man Cosworth. Quite a big representation of the TX3 clan, which is any and all are welcome to sign up for our leagues. If you're watching the race and wanting to get involved, by all means head over to apexonlineracing.com. Have a look at what takes your fancy. It's not just Project Cars 2. There's Assetto Corsa, iRacing, F1 2017, and several others in there. Head over, sign up, get involved. You may have a crazy bear like me shouting about your on-track antics. Nick Meadow is rather equidistant between himself equidistant between himself. Yes, he himself has managed to spread out. Cosworth and Domino are the positions around him. Roughly 12 seconds, give or take, as Cosworth, speaking of which, has decided to come into the pits. As we have just gone past the 40-minute mark. Domino, is he going to come in? It seems a little early, so he could be going for a two-stop strategy, is Cosworth. But again, if he has sustained damage on that car, that will of course force a different, or force the consideration of a different pit strategy. Domino choosing not to pit. TXP Endless started well, and look at that, he's had a big old argument with something. We saw him fall through the order early on, but he is his race has gone from bad to catastrophic, as he'll of course gain the position from Endless, who is in the pits, but is struggling there at the back of the LMP2 field. He's quite a long way off. Looking at his last lap time, he's quite a long way off the lead of class. DeHeidi leads the GTE field. Is that James has just gone past? Nope. Not sure which LMP that is has just flown past him. Must be Murphy. He's the only other black one. Yes, that is Murphy in 5th position, just coming past DeHeidi then. DeHeidi was the pole sitter for the GTE field. He has a very comfortable lead, 16.5 seconds between himself and next man Morvik, who has had a few misadventures of his own in the red and white Ford. MTZ in the next Corvette has got 10 seconds between himself and Morvik, but only 3. You just saw Calfee in the back of the shot. Go through the, there he is in the yellow Ford. As that is either Doc or Domino coming past him in the distinctive black and pink LMP. And Nick Mino has decided to come in the green Ligier. There is Calfee in the yellow Ford, and there is Villalobos in the chasing Corvette. So less than a second between those two. We've just lost another. It's one of the LMPs we've lost. See if I can identify who. There was only 10 of them. And it is a Storm! We've lost our race leader! Oh my goodness me! Storm, who had been leading the way pretty comfortably, has gone. He had been leading all race long, and in the blink of an eye he has vanished. If he'd had an accident, we of course didn't see it. Oh goodness me, so the lead now goes over to James, who has himself a 20-second lead between himself and Popsu. So I think Popsu's had a problem. Is that going to put Doc in his case? Not immediately at least. Oh dear, so we've had another LMP casualty. Coming back to Villalobos, he's half a second behind Calfee, so the Ford and Corvette engaged in battle again, I think, but they have been for a while. Cosworth is still in the pits. Nick Media's actually left the pits, and Cosworth is out. Oh, he has retired. Another LMP casualty. My. Only 8 LMPs remain. Dangerous Janetta, a stalwart regular of the GT3 scene here at Apex Online Racing. Now you can see here where DG is sticking to his own line. He is perfectly entitled to, as it's either race leader James or Murphy coming through. Must be James. It is indeed. So DG then in 6th position in class. Finds himself 10 seconds. It'll be 10 seconds behind Cosworth. Of course, he's going to come past him, as Cosworth has retired. So when he comes past Cosworth, we'll know what the gap is between himself and Villalobos. It is... Oh, it's Calfee, beg your pardon. Oh no, is Calfee in? No, he's not. Sorry, I'm watching the timing, will get very, very confused. So Calfee, 5.5 to 6 seconds ahead of DG. DG only lays Daru in the now lead yellow M6 by 2.5 seconds, as second place Popsu is now in the next black and green Ligier. And Doc has continued. Murphy has decided to come in the black Ligier. Where's Tautowner? That's not him. Tautowner is in as well, so a bit of a stream of LMPs choosing to come in. What about Domino? He's a little way off the pitch yet. Let's go back through our GTEs. So 7th is Darbu. Looks like he's gaining on Dangerous Janetta. You've just seen the black 4 disappear at the bottom of the shot. Wow, DG actually lost about 4 seconds last lap, so he had a big problem somewhere. Andrex, you can see there's a little bit of damage on his car. Has been off the pace of his teammate for a while. 8th in class. Rigor, 6.5 seconds down from Andrex. Leads Oblitor by 12, give or take. But Oblitor has got White Ghost 2000 right with him. So this is a battle for 10th in class. You see, actually, Oblitor took a very defensive line coming through the first part of turn 10. Either by choice or not. And James, race leader, has decided to come in. Could this... Doc was quite some way down, so... time was about 20 seconds down from race leader. So does Doc just decide to come in now, or will he take over the race lead? Turn 14, answer is... he is choosing to continue. Interesting. So James with a very interesting pit crew. They're clearly in a different time zone to the rest of us. So Doc then now leads the race. But of course he will have to come into the pits at some point. But if he's choosing to go one stop less, he will go on for another 12 minutes at least before he chooses to park the car. James now coming out. Where's Domino? Domino is... he's probably not going to be close enough. Just coming through turn 13, and indeed he isn't. James now comes out. Oops, not what I meant to do. I've usually done that more than once. Is where I just rest my hand on my mouse and accidentally right-click. But James has got just 13 seconds, give or take, back to the next LMP, which is Domino. So who hasn't pitted either? Where's Popsu then? Popsu is 22 seconds down from here. As that's Iceberg, I believe, in the orange and black Corvette. Yes, it is. Oh no, that's DG and Andrex. No, it's DG and Daru. Oh no, we saw Daru was actually gaining on DG for a while. So they've come together. Where did that happen? That was around between turns 11 and 12. Oh dear, oh dear. I think DG's been a bit off the pace for a little while. I wonder if he's going to come in the pits then. No, he doesn't. And that's Doc. Race leader Doc is choosing to come in now. So only one lap later than James did. Oh dear, we've seen an alarming amount of incidents. Actually, we don't normally see that many off-track problems in Apex Online races. White Ghost still keeping the pressure on Oblitor. Clank is... and we've lost another. Oh, that'll be Cosworth, I think. Yeah, Cosworth's dropped off the bottom, so he is now gone. 22 cars remain from the 30 that we had. 29 I think we had to start with. I think 30 was including me. James then resumes the lead of the race. Doc, of course, having just come in the pits. It's going to be interesting to see what lead James has for himself when Doc comes out and Domino's in. I'm assuming they're going to occupy different pit boxes. They do indeed. Doc is in there a long time. Doc was in the pits a very, very long time. So that has definitely cost him time on the race lead. Where's Popsu? Popsu's halfway down this main straight. Doc won't come out in time. That's Popsu going past. Doc comes out in third. So that's the position he was when he went in. So no particular loss there. A standard stop for him. Continues on his merry way as we are now 10 minutes away from the halfway stage of this race. Domino is now coming out. He's going to be down in 7th. As Endless is not on the same lap as the rest of the MPs, unfortunately, due to his earlier problems. That is Towner. It is indeed coming up behind him. You see there is where Endless has to obey the blue flag rules. Is that James? No, that's Murphy then that's coming up with him as well. So Murphy's not actually too far off the back of Towner now. 1.5 to 2 seconds there. Closest battle we have position-wise is here with White Ghost. Oh, no sooner do I say that than Dawu gets a mark next to his name for Andrex. So the two M6s in battle again. You can see the gap that they built up over Dangerous Genettos. 2.5 seconds now between the two, between the BMW and the Ford. Andrex again will know the pace difference between the two, as last place Slavak, who I say last place, that is a pure assumption because unfortunately he joined the session after quali had started, which meant that he is stuck in the timing bug. Therefore the game thinks he's on lap 1. Doesn't matter how many times he crosses the line, the game always thinks he's in lap 1, and he will always be deemed as last. So Dawu is still choosing to fight. I say choosing to fight, he's still fighting Andrex. Both very respected drivers in the GT3 scene. But they will know full well if one is quicker than the other, they will allow the quicker one through. Murphy is getting pretty close to Towner, as previously mentioned. So that's less than a second between those two. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Ooh, Doc's had a bit of a problem. I know that was his outlap, but he's gotten stuck behind what I think is Morvik. Is that Morvik? It is indeed. But such is the nature of the multi-class racing here in the Endurance League. But he's managed to go through. That would have cost him a bit, but he has 4.5 seconds between himself and Towner behind, but Towner does not have the same luxury as Murphy is right with him. Let's actually ride a lap. Actually, we'll do this properly. Let's go on board with Murphy. This is the view from the inside of the Ligier as Iceberg is jumping into the pits in the orange Corvette. So this will be what Murphy sees, trying to attack the position of Towner. Through turn 1. Careful not to let it run too wide. Flat out through 2. That's Morvik in the red and white Ford they're coming up to. So here we see the car's... Oh, Murphy! Oh, commentator's curse got you then. A little bit too greedy on the apex of 4. Just completely unsettled the car. And caused exactly what he held it very well to not send him flying off into the dust. Oh, had to get out of it as he came through turn 7. Now going to jump through the inside of 8. Morvik doing a stellar job then of giving decent racing room. White and Oblator still close in their battle. Down there in 11th position, 10th and 11th respectively. That's a shame. That you see how much time that cost Murphy on Towner. It's now over 1.5 seconds between the two. He's going to have to close that back down again, which he has been doing lap on lap on lap. But one mistake and you can throw it away very, very easily. One of the Corvettes there. That will be to Heidi. That is class leader of the GTEs, where he's been all race long. We haven't seen the GTEs come in for their pit stop, so we haven't seen many of the GTEs come in, I should say. No sooner do I say that than Oblators come in the Ford. Don't ask me why I get that graphic problem with the pit crew. I haven't the slightest, I haven't the faintest idea. GG is getting close to Andrex. Now, Andrex and Dawu have swapped positions. So either Andrex has had a problem, or as I suspect, he's actually let his teammate through. Because Andrex has been off the pace of the GTEs for quite some time now. So I'm a little surprised he's chosen to continue so long without coming into the pits. The black Ford now catching back up with the yellow BMW. We just saw Murphy's name flash up with that mark indicating that they are getting close to a car in front of them. Or a position in front of them, I should actually say. And still the GTEs are continuing, but Murphy is trying to close back in on Towner. So this is through 9 and 10. It's really hard to appreciate just how hilly this track is from a TV camera perspective. You really need to kind of ride on board or drive it, of course. And there you see that mark appear again in the braking zones. Murphy will close in within about 1.2 seconds. I think it flashes up. Really blind, very tricky turn 14. Many a decent lap has been thrown away there. DG is getting very, very close to Andrix again. Andrix has been trying his hardest ever since earlier contacts with some of the LMPs to gain some traction in this race, but it's not gone well for him, unfortunately. On he continues nonetheless with the pressure from Dangerous Ginetta behind. The later into the race we get, the more important the position becomes. It sounds a little bit obvious, but it's easy to kind of forget that when you're in a 2-hour endurance event, when you're in a endurance event indeed, you're just in your rhythm, you're hitting your marks, you're going through the motions. It's very easy to kind of let the time travel, and suddenly you realise, oh, hang on a minute, I'm 30 seconds down from the leader and I've only got half an hour to which to do anything about it. So depending on where the drivers think realistically they could end up, DG runs a little bit wide there on turn 14. Some of them could now be really thinking about trying to turn the wick up. I mean, take the gap between Popsu and James, for instance. This is second position of Popsu. He's 30 seconds down from James. Now, of course, these guys, I believe, have pitted recently. And he's got 8.5, nearly 9 seconds gap between himself and Doc. So Popsu doesn't have to worry about defending. And that time, James got another 2/10 on Popsu, because they're going to be hitting traffic fairly regularly. But if Popsu thinks he can challenge for the lead, he's got to get the hammer down. He's got to really start to push, which, when you've been running for that long, when you've been racing for such a long period of time, the old fatigue kicks in and makes the mistakes even more likely. Murphy's right with Tautauner again. So this is a battle for 4th position. What do they call that? Oh my goodness me, there was Iceberg. I think it slowed down a little bit earlier than Murphy was expecting. That completely put him off. Impact between Tautauner and Murphy. I think what Iceberg was going for, he was trying to ease off the throttle to allow the two LMPs through. That's actually exactly what the GTEs are advised not to do. Because doing things like that, as well-meaning as you may be, it puts you in a position where the LMPs are not predicting you to be. So they have to react. And sometimes you saw Murphy got completely put off by Iceberg's car and then ended up running into the back of Tautauner. So that battle continues. Dangerous Ginetta is still in fairly short range of Andrix. Andrix has come in. I was just thinking, where's he gone? I suspect there's going to be a pretty long pit stop, as whatever damage is on that car is that's not war paint you see on the car. He's had a little bit of damage incurred somewhere. So he's going to be in there longer than he would like. Back up to this battle for 4th. Murphy keeping the pressure on Tautauner. That's White Ghost in the white Ford, who's now coming into... Oh no, I thought he was coming into the pits. He's just getting out of the way. See, that's absolutely fine. He chose to come to the inside of the track where he was not going to be in anyone's way. Double check that was Iceberg. Yes, it was. Before, there's me labelling Iceberg as the cause of that particular incident. I just realised that is actually him. Yes, it is. Well, you actually saw these two Ligiers take very, very different lines through turn 3. We saw it a bit earlier where somebody takes a tighter line to try and get more speed heading into 4. That's a dive on the inside of 5. Can he get it done this time? He does, but can he keep Tautauner behind? He's had the pace on Tautauner for a while. It's all about whether he can maintain the position. Tautauner's not letting him go too easily. And it does look like at the moment Murphy has got that position, but he's got to now get away from that green Ligier. Through 11. Sorry, beg your pardon, through 9. Now 10, really awkward apex on the crest. So you're trying to brake, turn and go over the crest at the same time. Murphy going for a wider line into 11 than Towner. Towner trying to take a tighter apex. View from Towner's perspective. Now Towner's gone for tighter apex through 13. And Murphy choosing a smoother transition as Ginetta now goes into the pits in his Ford. Andrix has come out in 10th in class, 18th overall. Now Towton's got a little bit of slipstream, but it's not really going to earn him a great deal. This is going to dive on the inside of one. Chooses against that option, and probably quite wise. It's all too tempting to run too wide on the exit of turn 1. Both cars choosing a similar line then through 3 this time. Again, slipstream for Towner. Doesn't really gain him anything though. And back up through 5 and 6. Or 6 and 7 I should say. Towner not wanting to let Murphy go at all. Check, is DG coming out? Yes, he is. Where is Andrex? Andrex is just coming down the pit straight, and DG has actually come out ahead of Andrex then. Oh no. Oh, that was close. What DG tried to do, he tried to brake to allow Andrex through, but unfortunately rather put him in a slightly compromising position. He'd rather park the Ford on the apex of turn 1. Back up to this battle then for 4th position, Towner and Murphy. They have been fighting for many, many laps now, and it is not looking to recede this particular battle as we are over halfway now. 1 hour of racing is gone, and that is Morvik, I think, coming in. No, that's not Morvik in the slightest. It's Rygor in the other blue and white Ford. Lap times between Towner and Murphy. Murphy a 10th quicker. Of course, they had a fair amount of traffic to deal with, so a fairly irrelevant lap comparison. Ginetta and Andrex still pretty close together, so the Ford not letting the BMW go so easily. So that's for 9th in class. That is, I suspect that's the Heidi. Oh no, it's not the Heidi. Is that Clank? It is. So Clank in 11th could get interested in that particular battle, make it a 3-car train. Towner, I think he's losing the back of that Black Leash 8, so doesn't look like he's able to quite maintain the pace of Murphy. So that gap is just going to continue to increase if that is the case. But again, if these guys haven't pitted, I have no way of knowing, unfortunately, then that could well play into one of the other's hands. Igor's still in the pits. He's coming out. Where's DG in relation to Andrex? 7 tenths between the two. DG not quite in a position to attack, but he is close enough that Andrex still needs to bear that black Ford in mind. Lap times last time around, well, it was 11 seconds difference because that was DG's out lap. Ooh, that gets very, very close. Moments like that you kind of wince, especially if you're the driver in front. Dawo's in the lead M6. So tyre change for Dawo. No, he's just going for fuel, it looks like. Towner and Murphy are still close together. Oh, hello! No sooner do I say that, Towner and Murphy swap position. That was at turn 3, so Murphy's made a mistake somewhere. He could have made a mistake at turn 1, which lost him the pace he had, and now he's got to do this whole maneuver all over again. White Ghost has come in the white Ford as well. On board with Murphy. He will be very, very frustrated that he spent all that time closing down Towner repeatedly. Got past him as Morvik from 2nd in the GT field has come into the pits as well. And now through one mistake he's thrown it away, but it's so easy to do. You're so focused on getting past the car ahead, it's so easy when you do make the pass to then throw it away. They come through turn 13. Oh, Murphy's fallen off the road again. I reckon that's what happened. I wonder if he's having the steering wheel problems. He just kind of flew off. That was a very bizarre moment then for Murphy. What happened to Storm? He disconnected. He was leading the race, leading quite comfortably, and then simply vanished. So, a problem, either game or PC related for Storm. Unfortunately, our pole sitter, we lost him about 10-15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes ago or so. Oh, we couldn't pit. Oh no. Oh goodness me. Well, that would cause you to disconnect, I suppose. Through the Ford and Corvette combo, GG and Andrex still trying to stay in close contact. That's Calfee and Villalobos that is close together. This is the pair that these two have just seen. Is Heidi from the lead of the GTE field. Is there any chance for Popsu to take the win? Well, if James runs into trouble, then could well do. But he's going to have to rely on a mistake from James of some description, or a crash or something. It's a 30-second gap between Popsu and James, so it's going to need a bit of luck on Popsu's side for him to take the win. But you never know. Still another 52 minutes to go. One mistake can be very, very, very costly. Murphy again. Just closed Towner down. Keeping the pressure on, but didn't have a great run through turn 14. He's not going to. I don't think he's going to gain enough slipstream there. As that's one of the black Fords coming through the shot. I'm assuming that's Dangerous Janetta. No, it's not. It must be Oblator then. Yes, it is. Oh, look at that. You can see Towner having to take a defensive line through turn 2. Can Murphy get enough slipstream, get enough drive out of turn 4? Not at the moment, as both the Ligiers come on the inside of the Ford. Oh, Murphy locked up a little bit. So he compromises the exit from 5. But he stayed nailed to the diffuser of that green Ligier. Unless he's going to try a very daring move on the inside of 8. He did! Oh, he actually put Towner completely out of kilter. He had a look. He didn't. That wasn't a forced move. That was an error on Towner's part, and that's actually given Murphy back 4th position again. But we will see if he's able to hang on to it. He's already lost that position through a mistake. We will see what happens there. Calfee is within a second of Villalobos. This battle has been going on for quite a while, as DG and Andrex are still a similar gap between each other, so the M6 has not been able to shake that forward. And time between the two. Yeah, Andrex lost about 6/10 actually on the Ford that time around. So that's brought DG right back onto his case. He was building a little bit of a gap, but that gap unfortunately for Andrex has gone, and Clank is in the Corvette. Oh, that was a little bit close. Villalobos and oh, is that James? No, it must be Murphy. Yeah, Murphy at the very last second decided to jump across the hashings and make a pit stop. I wonder what caused a very late call there. Endless is as well, so we've got a stream of pit stops going on. We saw that damage actually on the front of Endless's car before. DG is still on Andrex's case, but DG hasn't had such a good run through this lap. You can see that gap has rebuilt up to 0.8 of a second between the two. Oh, it looked like Andrex had a pretty... didn't have a good run actually through the first part of turn 10, but kept that gap similar. Is that Doc or Domino behind us? Doc in 3rd position. Not looked at him for a while. Oh, I think it ran a tad wide there on the entrance to 12. Going back to this battle with Dangerous Janetta and Andrex. This is for 7th in class. Oh, DG's gone very wide. That's going to compromise. He's going to have to get off the gas. Whether he was put off by Doc coming up towards them, we won't know. Doc is going to easily get past the BMW, I would think. Now Doc took the sensible decision to stay behind the M6. He's got nothing to gain by making a very risky move. He's 4 seconds back to Tautauner and 20 seconds ahead to Bob, so he's got nothing to gain immediately by making a very risky manoeuvre. Oh, MTZ, who took over the GTE lead. Haven't looked at him for a while. He is in the pits now as Dehaide's come roaring past to retake the class lead where he's been all race long. Dawu is now close to Villalobos. So we've got two battles in the GTE field going on here. So Villalobos is just under 1.2 ahead of the M6, and that is that Tautauner that's getting very squirrely. No, that's DG and Andrex that Tautauner's with. Oh, it must be Endless then that was getting... No, that's Murphy. Ah, it is. That was Endless. That's right. Look at the big old gaggle of cars we have here. Endless trying his best to work his way through the field, but he's going to have blue flags on him in a minute, as that, I believe, is Domino. No, it's Doc coming up behind them. We've got a big gaggle of GTEs forming here. So that's the battle for 7th position in class between Dangerous Janetta and Andrex. Dawu is 1.5 behind Villalobos, who in turn is about 4 seconds ahead of Andrex. So there's the Corvette of Villalobos. You'll see just at the back of the shot Andrex. So they get caught up too much. Andrex could well come back into this particular battle. Oh no! That's not Tautauner. Who was it? Is that Endless? It is indeed Endless that spun it on the exit of 4. And away he goes again. So it's Endless is just not having a great race here today, unfortunately. Not every track suits every driver. It could come to him later in the season. We will see that. I think it was Tautauner coming up behind. Oh no, it wasn't Tautauner coming behind him. That, I think, that's Dawu Villalobos that Tautauner's just working his way through. Which means he has got... That's Calfee and... So that's Calfee, Villalobos and Dawu all in fairly short succession. Calfee's a couple of seconds ahead of these two. But Calfee has got... Who's the yellow Ford ahead of them? No. No. No, it's Clank. So Clank is a lap down, so he'll be getting out of the way. He already has got out of the way of... I believe that's Calfee. Yeah, so then you've got the Villalobos-Dawu battle behind him. And they still roll on. There you see Andrex actually behind. I think Andrex may well have gained a bit of time there. It was about 4 seconds when they crossed the line, and Andrex did indeed gain. He gained 7/10 on Dawu that time around. That's the view from Dawu's perspective. He is probably fed up with staring at the back of that Corvette. And he will want to get clear of him pretty soon. Oh, not like that, Dawu. But Dawu again gained 0.8 of a second on Villalobos last time around. So he'll be pretty confident he's got the pace over the Corvette, seeing how much he's been able to close in over the last few laps. Now the next car up the road is Clank in the Corvette, but the Ford up ahead is Calfee. Interesting that Clank has chosen to sort of keep pushing on right in the midst of... He's probably quite happy to have some company back there, as he is down in 13th position. 13th in class. There he is, 8 seconds down from Iceberg. We're of course assuming Slavak is last in class. That is either Doc or Domino already behind him. It's Doc. Doc's been losing time on Towner by the look of it. Looking at the gaps, 25 seconds between him and Popsy, and Nick Meadow is in again. Less than 44 minutes remaining of this race, and Nick Meadow is making his second stop. So again, we'll now start to see the pit strategies come into play. And Dawu has fallen off the back of Villalobos, so he's made a mistake somewhere. And Nick's got himself a penalty. That's what the red mark next to his name means. He's got himself a 10-second penalty. I think that's a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Oops. Some penalties can be contested post-race, but speeding in the pit lane tends not to be one of them. So Darwin's now going to have to chase Villalobos down again after the mistake he seems to have made, although him, Villalobos and Andrex, 5, 6 and 7, all made within a couple of tenths of a second, all made the same lap time, 43.8, 43.6. Look at that, Villalobos has just had, that must be, that's not Endless, is it? Oh, it is Endless that's in the middle of them. Endless is only a little bit quicker than them, so he could put the GTEs out of kilter, which would allow them to close up again. Again, I'm surprised to see Clank hasn't just got completely out of it and slowed down and let them through. He's still pushing on. To be fair, he's lapping a similar pace as well. Now he's probably going to back off and let that'll be Villalobos. So he does indeed. There you see Villalobos, Daru and Andrex. And just at the top of the shot you did see Dangerous Ginetta as well. Daru, yeah, he lost 2 seconds then on Villalobos and Andrex as well, so clearly did make a mistake. But Villalobos now does not have Clank ahead of him. Oops, as Clank flies off the road at turn 4. Villalobos has 2 seconds, give or take, to gain to Calfee. And both of them did a 43.9 last time around. So both with pace in their respective cars. Andrex really, now he's got the damage fixed on that car, is really pressing on. Is that James coming up behind them? It is indeed. It's racy as James, who has a 26-second gap between himself and Popsu, who has the same again to himself and Doc. So the top 3 are spaced out by quite a very long one. Nearly a minute separates the top 3. Doc's starting to get the hammer down again, I think. Although again he's lost a second to Towner. As he crumbs across the layers. Towner made a mistake. Where is he? Did Towner make a mistake last lap? Yes, he did. I thought he's just suddenly disappeared from the back of Doc's radar. He lost 4 seconds that time around. Towner had been closing in on Doc for the last few laps, and he's made a mistake somewhere in turn 14. Didn't see the issue happen. Ooh, Villalobos actually came up with a mark in his name, so he's actually closing in on Calfee. Big old gaggle of cars. That's James trying to get some slipstream, and that will be Clank getting out of Darwu's way. Villalobos is closing in on Calfee, it seems. Calfee lost about 6 tenths last time around. Dawu only a tenth slower, and Andrex a tenth slower again. So that 3, 43.5, 43.6, 43.7. And that is Dawu then that's got that was allowed through by Clank last time around. Again, you see Villalobos is getting within striking range of Calfee. Villalobos will gain a little bit of slipstream from James. Not a great deal, admittedly. We will gain a little. From the onboard of Villalobos. He's now within a second of the yellow Ford. So again, Calfee's not had a good lap this time around, and that's brought Villalobos into striking range. Fatigue only really starts to get worse from this point on. I admire these drivers for being able to drive for this long. I certainly couldn't do it. It's hard enough being in the commentary box for this length of time, and it's a doddle compared to what they're doing now. DG's on Andrex's case. So unless Andrex has made a mistake somewhere, which, what's the gap between? Oh, he has. He's now 4 seconds behind Daru. Andrex has made a mistake somewhere. He's now got DG for company in the Ford again. Let's keep an eye on Villalobos. Half a second then. Just shy of 6/10 as they cross the line. That was actually slower for Villalobos, as you saw in his delta. Let's see what Andrex's lap time was. So it was 45.8. Yeah, he lost 2 seconds that time around, so he's round wide somewhere. Oh dear, Andrex had a terrible run through one, and that really compromised him. That's put Dangerous Janetta right on top of him. View from the Ford. It sounds just as bad inside as it does outside. Just half a second separates him and Andrex. Many, many times in the past these two have crossed swords. Is that Doc or Domino? That's Domino that's coming up behind them. So this is what it looks like from the LMP side when they're trying to come past a pair of battling GTEs. And DG actually jumps off of the apex, so that's very respectful. Andrex may choose to do the same, but as mentioned before, he's not obliged to. Oh no, Andrex! He completely locked his brakes coming into turn 10, and that put Domino off. I mean, Domino is of course lapping people, so you won't get a warning to give positions back, but that was just a shame. You just caught out at the wrong time, but that was a big lock-up, big mistake then by Andrex, which again is easy to do. You're just coming over a crest and turning right. It's so easy to mistime your braking point and lock the brakes. So that's Domino through. But Andrex is going to be very hard fought to keep DG behind him. But let's keep an eye on Villalobos, who is still slapped. Oops, you saw Villalobos having to turn left into a right hand corner. He actually lost a couple of tenths on Calfrey last time around. So they are keeping a similar pace. There you see Daru behind, 1.5 seconds back. Oops, Villalobos flew off the road at turn 4. Not the ideal way of doing that one. Daru gained 3 tenths actually on Villalobos last time around, so he's certainly got the pace to get involved in this conga line that's forming. They're not really looking much at our LMPs. The reason being is they're pretty much spaced out all the way through their field. So there's no particular battles going on there. Once again, we look to our GTE brethren as DG looks like he's on his best lap so far. Getting a big old dose of slipstream from Andrex's M6. And there you go. Now you see Daru's got that mark next to his name. He is now starting to reel these two in. That's Domino behind them. I assume, is it? It is Domino, yeah. It's only so much you can just maintain your own line and knowing someone is within a second behind you before it plays on your mind, before the mistakes creep in, especially when you'd be going an hour and a half as they are approaching the hour and a half mark now. And there you see the Ford is looking to take a defensive line. He didn't stay wide on the exit of 4C. He's gone back to the racing line now. He's got no one in front of him to get a slipstream of. And Villalobos, of course, getting a slipstream from the Ford. He's got Domino right behind him, which he can, pretty much ignore as Domino jumps on the inside of turn 3. That's absolutely fine, but that's brought Daru right. Oops! That's Domino that's gone for a bit of grass cutting. And these mistakes are going to start creeping in. We haven't seen a great deal many of those mistakes for a while. We saw a lot of them early on. But now they're going to start creeping in as the fatigue really starts to take hold. That has, of course, brought Daru right into this particular battle. That's Clank that's behind them. And Towner, if I can say it right, is in the pits from 4th position. That's the view from Daru. Of course, we saw that the second Corvette. That is Clank, who is not on the same lap as these guys. This is where Andrex had that mistake a couple of laps ago. You can see on the map the next white dot in line is Andrex, and the one behind him is Dangerous Janetta, so they are locked in their battle, and that's how far behind. It's now 6 seconds separating Daru and Andrex. Of course, Andrex having to defend from DG's Ford. DG doing 42 last time around. There goes Domino, trying to regain the time he's lost. Spinning on turn 3. Oh, he's come in. Domino has chosen to come in now. Doc was the first one of that pair to first one of that pair to pit. Now, you say that a few times after a few drinks. This little conga line here is getting very, very interesting because the back of this line is Clank, who's not on the same layer. Who was that was spun? Oh dear, as that was Clank flying off the road. I saw there was somebody there, but I didn't see who it was. No, it wasn't Clank. Unfortunately, I didn't catch who it was. I saw there was something there that shouldn't have been there, but I didn't see who. That's actually Iceberg that's behind these two, so he again is not on the same lap as Andrex and Dangerous Janetta. We need to keep an eye on this particular battle. On board again with Daru. Oh, that's Villalobos getting very, very close to Calfee now. He got slightly put off by the green Ligier. That's the view from Villalobos. Just a couple of tenths now separates him and the Ford. This is for fourth in class. Doc has now come in the pink Ligier. Oh, Villalobos. I think there was a tiny bit of contact between himself and Calfee's Ford. May have unsettled the car, but that's of course now put Daru right on his case. Murphy and Nick Media are actually close together as well. Nick Media was the green Ligier we just saw coming through. They're now having a battle for fifth position. Daru now has a great opportunity to pick up at least Villalobos. He may have a crack at Calfee if he has a decent run through turn 1. Look at the slipstream that the Corvette's got on the Ford. Now looks like Villalobos is going to have a go at Calfee on the inside. Villalobos has overshot it though, and Calfee manages to get an undercut. And Daru's dive through on turn 2. Bang on the side of the Corvette. But is he gonna keep it in turn 3? Looks like he does, and he has come through as well. Villalobos has gone for one position and lost one instead. So Villalobos now at the back of this particular train, but not out of it by any way, shape or form. There's a festival of yellow going on between these four cars at the moment. And there's another yellow Ford just up the road as well. It's not MTZ because he's in a silver Corvette. So I'm not 100% sure who that is. It's further up the road. Oh, it's going to be Slavak. Dangerous Janetta is still keeping Andrex company, but look at the lap times of certainly Villalobos. These two gained 2 seconds at least on the chase on this. Oh no! No, that was Murphy then. That was and that was an impact between Murphy and Andrex. I think it was the BMW instead of the Ford that bounced off of Murphy. Murphy was looking to challenge Nick Meadow, I think, for 5th position, and has come a cropper as a result. Doc is on Towner's case. Doc has come through the pits. He wants that 3rd position back pretty damn quick as Popsu now comes into the pits. Doc is determined to get that position back. Now it's all kicking off as we now hit 30 minutes remaining in this particular race as Slavak comes into the pits as well from last. Again, I'm assuming he's last. So Daru keeping the pressure on Calfee now. There in the background is Villalobos. Dangerous Janetta is keeping Andrex for company, although there's about a second between the two, so GG can't quite attack Andrex as much as he would like. Doc is challenging Towner. Look at that. That's a great drive that Doc has had on the inside of turn 8. He's going to have the outside of 9. Towner is hanging on to it now. The advantage switches back to Doc, and is he going to try and nose ahead on the apex of 10? He does. Towner gives the speed, gives him the room. Doc blasts through then before he gets through 11, but can he hang on to it? Towner diving on the inside of 12. Doc still side by side. Brilliant racing between the pair of them. I doubt they're going to be able to leapfrog Popsu. No, Popsu's actually coming out of the pits already, and now Doc has secured that third place, but can he sprint off? You would imagine he would. He's on pretty fresh tyres. And let's see if Towner is able to do anything about the pink Ligier ahead of him. And you can see Doc has gone for that defensive line. Heading down towards one. Towner getting a big old slipstream from Doc's pink Ligier. Through turn one. Only problem with this camera is it goes too close to the cars. Oh, Doc's not had a good run through 1 and 2. He's now going to have the outside of 3. Can he hang on to it for the inside of 4? He does. That's going to compromise him through 4. Towner gets a good run. Oh, well parked on the apex there from Doc. He's now going to have the defensive line heading down into 5, but still Towner has a look on the inside. Chooses not to force his way through. Doc's locked up a little bit. This is what I was mentioning earlier. With the closing stage of the race is now when we are going to see people making these kind of moves. When there's lots of time on the clock, there's no point. But with the clock is burning down, particularly in the last quarter of the race, now people need to be making these moves. They now come through. Now Doc has an opportunity to try and pull away from Towner. It looks like he's got... Who's that that's already ahead of them? That's White Ghost and Clank that is ahead of them. Oh, it's White Ghost. I'm assuming it's Clank. Oops! That wasn't Clank. That was a yellow Ford. That would be Slavek that was jumping out of the way of this battle for third position. Doc's got the position as well. That's White Ghost in the Ford ahead. That's going to put Doc out kilter slightly. Oh, but he managed to negotiate the white Ford. Oh, Towner diving on the inside of 1, but nowhere near close enough to make that stick. But I think he was trying to put Doc off more than anything else. Now Doc has got the opportunity. He's had a good run through 4. Towner's gone too wide. He's going to have to back off from that one. That gives Doc about 8/10. He'll know that he's got that gap in hand. Let's jump back to this particular battle we've got going on down here. This is Villalobos and Kofi. Kofi's had to jump to the inside line, but it looks like the Corvette's got the legs on him, and right behind them. So Kofi's lost the position to Villalobos before they get into the braking zone. That's not Andros already behind. That's Clank that's already behind them. So Kofi doesn't have to defend from the Corvette behind. He's just got to worry about the one in front of him. I love the fact that you can't hear the Ford in all that roar of Corvette. That just made me smile. As race leader James, with a 1.5 minutes lead, has come into the pits. I think it's fairly safe to say he will maintain the lead. Towner does look like he's lost that third position to Doc. He doesn't seem to have an answer. Coming back to this battle here. This is for 5th position in class. And Kofi is trying his best to stay on the back of Villalobos. Now gives me an opportunity to catch my breath. There was a lot going on there. That's Popsu and not Towner. I'm not 100% sure who that. Oh, that'll be Endless that he's just gone past. Yep. Towner's trying to hang on to Doc, but he's losing time. I think it's fair to say that Doc's got the pace on Towner at the moment. James is coming out of the pits. No one's even on the same lap as he is. So James, if he keeps it out of trouble, can pretty much ignore top gear at this stage and continue on to the end. Dangerous Genetic is still keeping Andros company. There they are, 7th. This is a battle for 7th in class. And let's see what the lap times are. You can see that gaggle of yellow further up the field. That's Villalobos, Kofi and Clank. As Darbu has broken free of this particular... Oh, I did it again. Apologies. Oh, Villalobos didn't have a good run through 3, but neither did Kofi by the look of it. It looks like the Ford has lost the back of Villalobos' Corvette. Right, now I've had an opportunity to catch my breath. I can catch up with what you guys are saying. I do apologise for those that are expecting me to try and kind of keep up with the chat as well. It's very difficult for me to kind of do that and keep up with everything going on track, even in an endurance event. There has been so much going on in this particular race. I haven't been ignoring you. I'm very appreciative of the fact that you guys have been keeping up and staying with us throughout. So I have a chance to catch up with you. Is Deheidi leading GTE? Yes, Deheidi is leading the GTE field. There he is. He leads by 23 seconds over Morvik and has been there, with the exception of pit stops, he's been there all race long. DG is still keeping Andrex company. Now that the field has pretty much settled down, of course got DG within half a second of Andrex, but they've been there for a while. Towner is within a second of Doc, but it does look like he hasn't got the pace to be able to challenge. So let's have a run through of who is where. James, having just had his last pit stop, leads the race. He inherited the race from TX3 Storm, who disconnected about an hour ago, and Storm was leading very, very comfortably, but due to a disconnection, handed the lead over to this man, James. Popsu in second position. That's not Popsu. The green Ligier is Popsu. So he just comes through, comes past Iceberg. Popsu is in a pretty comfortable position there, 40 seconds behind James, but 17 ahead of this man, Doc, who has been fighting to get back into that third position after the pit stops, but looks like he's got the legs on Towner behind. If we look at the lap times, 36.2, 35.8. Actually, Towner did gain half a second last time, but I think by and large Doc has the legs to break away then and maintain that third position. There is Towner, who strategy seemed to pay off for him. His pit strategy seems to have elevated him up into fourth position and is keeping Doc company at the moment. Nick Meadow finds himself position-wise in rather no man's land. 16 seconds one way, 17 the other. He finds himself in fifth position. He's got himself a 10-second penalty, but that won't make any difference at this point. I think he got that for speeding in the pit lane. There is Murphy in the black Ligier. 15 seconds one way, 27 the other. Here again is pretty much a lonely existence for him. Domino, same for him. The only company he's got is the GTEs. He's trying to put a lap on. He's 27 seconds down from Murphy, 1.5 minutes ahead of TX3 Endless, who has just had disaster after catastrophe in this particular race. Started well, spun on the first lap, big old dent on the front of his car, and it's just never gone right for him since. Leading the GTEs is Deheidi, where he has been all race long, except for a couple of laps at the pit stop phase. He has been absolutely untouchable all race long. Morvik, haven't looked at him for a while in the red and white Ford. He also has a comfortable second position, 35 seconds over MTZ in the silver Corvette, who's for a while has had a fairly uneventful race as well. Or certainly from a commentary perspective, whether he feels is uneventful, of course, is another matter. Daru, who's had a bit of a mixed race. He is in fourth position. He's broken clear of Villalobos in the Corvette. And all of these guys lapping very, very similar, 43.7, 43.4, that kind of region. There is Villalobos, who has really broken free of Calfee now. He's in fifth, and sixth position goes to the aforementioned yellow Ford. But only 1.7 seconds back, there he is Andrex. Now there has been a bit of a change. Andrex has been hounded by Dangerous Janetta for quite some time. There is DG in the black Ford. So DG's made a mistake somewhere and has lost a fair bit of time. May have been a lap or two ago. And that is Clank in the yellow Corvette. He needs to be getting out of Andrex's way. Next position-wise is actually Calfee, who's in the yellow Ford, as mentioned. That should be Clank. Now he'll bleed off the throttle, and that he dutifully did. You see Calfee right there. Clank on the left-hand side there. He's allowed to keep pace with him. He can technically overtake, but it's not really going to be. Oh, Andrex, well held, sir. But tail just did not want to stick on that M6. Managed to keep it in check though. He's within a second of Calfee, who's also had a similar issue. He lost 2.2 seconds to Andrek's last lap around. Andrex would have lost a tenth or two in turn 1 with the tail stepping out. He caught it brilliantly well. Look at that. The M6 now right with the Ford. It does seem like any moment now Andrex is going to pounce again. Andrex had some rather unfortunate tanglings with some of the LMPs when they were coming through to put their first lap on the GTE field. You see some little bit of war paint on the M6. Nothing. It doesn't look anything drastic, but I'm sure it's enough that bothers. A tiny bit of damage can be enough to upset your lines and your braking points from all the practice you would have put in. So any amount of damage can be off-putting. But now Andrex is challenging for that 6th position. Oh, look at that, the Ford. Ford looked like it was taking a fairly standard line, but look how much Andrex is able to basically push the Ford along. Oh, wrong one. Andrex, oh, the Ford was slow coming into 14, and that forced Andrex to have to back off. Now he's going to get into the slipstream. Now the opportunity. Look how much pace the M6 gained on the Ford just in that one moment over. DG's right there as well. Andrex lost 1.7, no doubt due to that brief moment where the tail stepped out, and oh, that's very wide for the Ford. Still side by side. Calfee's perfectly entitled to defend it. Oh, that's DG's jumped through on the inside of turn 3. Oh, a bit of impact between the two Fords there. That threw DG well and truly off course. So that's allowed Calfee to maintain that 7th position. Andrex now already has half a second. Oh, and Calfee's gone very, very deep into turn 5. I think DG did as well to a point. Is that Doc or Domino that's just come through? It's Doc. That's not Popsy that's directly ahead of him, as much as Doc would love it to be. So Doc's caught up right in this mixture, and that's actually going to bring Towner back onto Doc's case. That is not what he would have wanted at all. Oh, was there a problem back there? I thought I saw someone getting very, very squirrely. That may have just been how the camera looked. Towner is now 7/10 behind Doc. That's exactly what he would not have wanted. There is Doc trying to get through the field of GTEs that greets him. That's Andrex, you can see, with Calfee right on his tail again. On board with the Ford. Ooh, steady. Ah, that's why I thought Calfee was a little bit late turning into turn 14, and that was why, because Doc was on his inside, and wow, that was brave. That's Endless, I think. Is that Endless? No, just as we switch to Endless, we see Endless facing the wrong way in between turns 11 and 12. Oh no, he's lost his rear wing. Oh dear. Massive problem there for Endless. He's going to be in the pit a very long time getting that fixed. Oh dear, oh dear. Back to the battle then between Andrex and Calfee for 6th position in class. The M6 is desperate to get away from the Ford. As we now approach 15 minutes remaining. Come through turn 5. See Doc and... Is it? Oh, it's Doc and Towner! So, something's happened to Doc. He's lost a hell of a lot of time. He could have been put off slightly trying to get through the GTEs, and that's Towner that's gone through into 3rd. Endless coming into the pits as we thought to get that damage repaired. I mean, he may well be in the pits for the remaining 15 minutes. T-Camp from Doc then. Ooh! Now, he had a much better drive out of 10, but that was well defended then by Towner. He parked it on that left-hand rumble strip, knowing full well that that's where Doc would have wanted to go. Doc then is determined to try and get that 3rd place back again. He's been in it for quite a while, and he wants it back. It looks like he's got the pace on Towner, but he's very, very close. He's looking to get a slipstream on the start-finish straight. Now it's going to floor it. If he hadn't before, Towner just able to edge away from Doc at this point, and he can't answer. He's got no answer at the moment, and that's one of the Corvettes. in their way. Doc has dived on the inside. He got that all wrong. I think he was slightly put off by where Tautana was going. Oops, and nearly clanked into the... Nearly smashes into the side of the Corvette. Oh no, disaster for Doc. He got turn 1 all completely wrong. He's now going to have to chase down Tautana again. But he's not got much time to do it. Let's get back to this particular battle. So here we have Dangerous Janetta and Calfee close together. Andrex has managed to break away. That's 2 seconds between Calfee, or 1.7 seconds between Calfee and Andrex then. Oh, as... is that Tautana? No, that's not Tautana that's just come through. That must therefore be Popsu. I think. Even at this point of the race, I still can't quite identify who's who. Oh, that must be... That can't be Endless. Is he out? Oh, blimey. He got repaired quick. It was indeed Endless. I expected him to be in there much longer than that. So Dangerous Janetta then is trying to pressure Calfee. So Calfee's race is just plummeted in the closing stages of this race. He may well have picked up damage on that Ford, but it could well just purely be fatigue that is hitting him at... with, you know, now that we have sub 15 minutes to go. Dangerous Janetta. Oh, I thought he was going to have a look on the inside of 13. It's not a very big braking zone there. But surely now it's going to be his opportunity. On board with the Ford as he comes around turn 14. He's got the legs on Calfee. Surely that's going to be a pretty straightforward pass if the camera would keep up with. There it is. As the DGA flies very, very wide to come past them. DG does indeed get the move done before the braking zone. Can he hang on to it? He's going to outbrake himself. He's gone too wide. Ooh! And DG's flown off the road. He's all out of shape. Now Calfee's going to have another run at him. DG's going to have the inside of 4. Calfee stayed in it. Kept his foot in it. Now DG, if he can get the pace he needs... No, he chooses, and probably quite wisely, to get back into the slipstream onto the racing line for turn 5, especially as he had an LMP flying through on his inside, but Calfee's run wide of the exit of 4. Now DG, can he do anything about it? As we are approaching 10 minutes remaining. Oh, is that James? Is that the race leader? It is. Even James can't afford a tanglement at this point. He will want to get through these people as close as he can. Doc is closing Tautana in. He's got 8 tenths between himself and podium. He doesn't have to push too hard. He's got the time to close it in. It's whether he's got the pace to do it. DG flies off the road at the exit of turn 11. Locks up as well coming into 12. So he's getting a little bit on edge. That's not Rigor behind him, but Rigor's only 2.5 seconds down. I suspect that's Clank. No, it's not Clank, actually. Is that Villalobos coming up behind them? No, Villalobos is... Oh, it's Slav. No, I don't know who that is then. Not sure who that yellow... Oh, it must be Dahidi. Yep, that's Dahidi. Finally figured out who he is. And now another pass then from Dangerous Janetta. There he is. On the inside, can he get the line right this time? Calfee's going to try and switch back, and gets very sideways. There was a little bit of impact between the two Fords. Ooh, that's Murphy coming up behind these two. Race leader's already come through. And again, Calfee's now going to try on the outside, but this time DG is ahead before they get to turn 5. Here comes Murphy. Ooh, Murphy's going to have first dibs on the apex. DG's a little bit wide. That's race leader. That's a class leader, rather, Dahidi. With that can't be Morvik directly behind him. No, it isn't. Actually, Dahidi's got a great ringside seat for the Battle of the Forts. But these two are under blue flag conditions. DG Domino, mixing up names now, ran a little bit wide at turn 8, but managed to keep it on the track. But he is defending like crazy. But Dahidi does have the luxury of blue flags. Oh! Oh my goodness me! This is all going off here at turn 10. So Dahidi's gone past Calfee. I think there was a little bit of impact between the two Fords. So Calfee's allowed Dahidi through. DG's now looking like he's going to do the same. No, he's going to maintain the inside line. He could bleed off the throttle a little bit. No, he's going to probably do that on the start-finish straight, but he knows full well that yellow Ford's still there. Flash of the lights on to Heidi, reminding DG he's got to get out of the way. You know, drivers can be given a penalty for blocking. But this is where it's going to get slightly awkward for DG, because you can see that yellow Ford's got a big old fistful of slipstream. He's got another Ford coming up behind him. That will be... It's not Morvik. It must therefore be... Oh dear, the Heidi flew off the road. Not true that who the red and white Ford is. Ooh, DG, you're still in the way there, son. Not 100% sure which Ford that is that's just come through. Rigel? Yeah, it is indeed Rigel. So that's actually put Rigel right on DG's case. So just when DG thought he had a bit of a break, Rigel's now come through and Nick 7th position. Oh, bounces off, race leader to Heidi. Oh, nearly 3 wide on the exit of turn 5. Goodness me, great three-way battle here. This is the battle for 7th, of which Rigel's now just taken. The fight of the Fords. So we go to DG's roof cam. Oh, goodness me, that was a massive oversteer moment for Calfee. That's going to pretty much rule him out of that particular battle, but DG ran a little bit wide on the exit of 9. Goodness me, it is all kicking off then. As we are getting towards getting ready for the checkered flag to come out. And Doc is not far off the back of Towner either. Half a second separates those two. So Doc is wanting that 3rd place back, and he's running out of time to do anything about it. Let's jump back over to this battle then. Calfee currently has the back of it. DG in the Dangerous Janetta in the black Ford has got the legs on Calfee at the moment, but he wants that 7th back. Rigel now occupies it in the red, blue and white Ford. Half a second for Rigel to try and hang on to. He's going to try and get as much slipstream off of race leader to Heidi. Sorry, class leader to Heidi, that's directly ahead of them in the yellow Corvette. Oh, I think Calfee flew off the road there. That's dropped him outside of 1.5 seconds from Dangerous Janetta. Let's keep an eye on Doc. Oh, that's Towner running a little bit wide on 14 now. Is this an opportunity for Doc to regain 3rd? He's a little bit too far back. Doesn't seem to be gaining the slipstream he needs. Oh, but Towner's going to run wide at 1. Oh, nearly impact between the two. Well avoided there by Doc. He's gone through into 3rd, but the Towner's fighting back. Slight bit of impact as they come into 3. Side by side now. Towner slipped behind Doc. Oh, goodness me, it's kicking off between these two again. Doc jumping to the inside, heading down towards turn 5. We've got 6 minutes remaining of this race. Doc has got to do something if he wants to hang on to that 3rd, or Towner has got to respond, and it has to be now. He cannot lose any more time. Either of them can't lose any more time. DG is on a similar gap between himself and Rigel. There they are. They've lost Calfee, so there's no defending going on for DG. It's going to be hard to keep up with these two battles, but I'll do my best. Now heading up for turn 10 for the two LMPs. This is for the last podium position. Doc steady through turn 10. Towner doing his best to keep the pressure on. Now 12. So close in now. It's going to be a slipstream battle as they come down the start finish straight. Doc is going to be well aware of that. He's going to want a decent drive out of 13, which he's tried to do with a slightly wider entry. But Doc didn't seem to have the straight line speed over Towner. Conversely, Towner didn't seem to have the cornering efficiency. Now let's get on the roof of Towner. Can he close down that pink and white Ligier? He's closing in ever so slightly, but not enough to close him in. Less than 5 minutes to go. It's going to be give or take about 5 laps left here at Algarve. Not exactly sure which one of the LMPs we just saw slightly further up. Still can't tell who that is. Whoever it is isn't on the same lap as these two, so I'm not going to worry too much about him. Taotowner again making sure he is very clear and visible in Doc's mirrors. Not that you're going to miss a car that colour. Even with the fly collection he must have on it by now. Taotowner not wanting to allow Doc more than half a second. Mitsui in that gap. That's a Corvette nearby. There it is, and that's... Oh, this could get a little bit ugly for Doc and Taotowner. That is Iceberg and Clank. Iceberg's actually just lost that position to Clank. Oh my goodness me, Taotowner flying off the road at turn 11. Probably trying to choose an alternate line to get around the GTEs. Oh dear, is that Clank with a slightly rearranged nose? Can't really tell from that camera angle. Oh yes, I'd say that's slightly rearranged. Oh dear, oh dear. Come on camera, don't let me down now. And again you can see Doc has actually opened a gap. 7/10 between the two LMPs now. So let's have a quick look with... Oh, DG's spun it! That's at turn 4! Well, that's pretty much called an end to the battle he had with Rigor. Oblator's actually gone through as well. Oblator's appeared out of nowhere. I think, Calfee and DG must have come to grief, I think, because both of them have lost the position to Oblator, and Rigor is about 9 seconds ahead of the Black Ford. So, yeah, they've come together. Rigor's on Villalobos' case. Crikey, Rigor's having a very late charge. There is Villalobos. That's, I think, Clank. No, it's not Clank. I beg your pardon. As Murphy's coming into the pits with 3 minutes to go, that's got to be a splash and dash for him. Oh no! Is that Villalobos? It is! Villalobos in the closing stages of the race has spun it. Oh my goodness me, Rigor now to 6th place. With, again, one of the... that'll be... I'm not actually sure which of the... Oh, it's DeHeide. That's class leader DeHeide ahead of them. They jump back up to... Oh, that's Domino behind. That must be Domino behind because Doc is still ahead of Taotowner. So I'm assuming then that's Domino right with him. It is indeed. So Domino's actually a lap down from the battle you see ahead. Look at the distance that Taotowner has lost. As we have less than 2 minutes to go. I would say it's probably 2 laps remaining. So Taotowner has lost the back of Doc at the moment, and Morvik is in. Oh, that must be heartbreaking to have to come in at this point of the game. What a shame. And he's stopped before his... He's actually stopped before his box. That's not going to help you. Yeah, I think he had no real wing on the car either. That just popped up when he was there. So Clank is actually still trying to fight Iceberg without massive damage on the front of his car. Where is James? There he is. Coming through turn 4. I think everyone is now settled, even now that Doc Taotowner battle has resolved itself. Let's stay with... Oh, that's a spin! James recognised that the tail of that Corvette was going in a direction that didn't look healthy. Clank's race has not been particularly fruitful. And James just has to coast home now. 36 seconds between himself and Popsu. Morvik is losing, but he's still in the pits, and there he goes. And he lost that rear wing on the Ford. We don't know what the issue was. Andrex is now up to 4th. Rigor's just gone through to 5th. Villalobos, I would imagine. Yep, he's going to go through. Yep, Villalobos has just demoted Morvik down to 7th. Oh my goodness me. Morvik must be sick. And that is it. The time is gone. So here it is. Your winner by a big old distance. Here at Algarve, big old celebration to himself, and why the devil not? It is James in the Black Nichier. Well played, sir. Doc. Oh, sorry, Popsy. I completely missed Popsy. And here we go with that weird bug again on the bottom. Oh, this would be where lapped cars are actually coming over the line and my scoreboard goes completely gaga. Oh, Murphy ended up with a penalty as well. Second place Popsu. Just coming around the penultimate turn with, I think that's MTZ. Yep, it is indeed, in the silver Corvette. He will be taking second in class himself. Big old celebration to himself for Popsu. And why not? De Heidi, I think, has already crossed the line. Oh, he hasn't. He's actually there. Where's Doc? There he is. He'll be more than happy to take that third place after all the battling he's had for so long with Tautana. Let's actually see the class winner for GTE. No other classmate on the same lap. He's lapped his entire class. It is TX3 De Heidi. Very well played and throws it into the wall. Doc has come across the line for third. Tautana in fifth. Nick Mido is going to be there somewhere. Of course, now that lapped cars are crossing the line, it's now pretty impossible for me to follow it through. Where's DG? There he is. I think he is the last man to cross the line. There it is. The rest of the board is completely screwed. So I can't click on anybody else. But when the counter hits 0, we will get the final confirmation top to bottom. What a race. That was intense. Near enough beginning to end. So much action going on. Hooey, my throat is dead, but what a way for it to go. So there it is, and James taking the win. Popsu 2, Doc 3, Tautana 4, Nick Media 5, Domino's 6, Murphy 7, and Endless rounding out the LMPs. In the GTEs, De Heidi 1, MTZ 2, Darwi 3, Andrex 4, Rigel 5, Morvik 6, Villalobos 7, Oblator 8, Calvi 9, DG 10, Yghost 11, Iceberg 12, Clank 13, and I'm assuming Slavek was down there in last. He's classed as a DNF. He may well have been a DNF, but he was stuck in the timing box, I'm afraid. I do not know. And that brings an end to this particular stream. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with me throughout this evening's broadcast. It has been a great pleasure to commentate on this race, and we will see you back here for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.